Hand position matters so minimally when it comes to half of this stuff. What matters most is, are you making the joint move in the direction that you want it to move in? Okay. Now, whether you use your hands this way or that way or whatever the case is, to me, that doesn't matter at all. Again, what matters is, are you making the joint move in the direction that you want it to move in with the grades that you want it to move in as well? Okay. So you might be, I don't know, Ashiatsu and you use your feet. Like, who am I to judge? Maybe, you know what I mean? So if that's the case, then you're definitely not doing things like hands. All right, I'm going to bring this camera around this way. All right, so for you guys at home, so you've got a couple different angles that you can see this at. So all I'm trying to do here is I'm going to first do this in a very neutral position where I've got my hand high into the axilla. This other hand here is going to be placed onto the lateral side of the distal arm. And that's going to be used as a leverage point where I can push this slightly medial as I take my superior hand and move this out lateral. So here's kind of the setup for what we're going to do with this mobilization. So from here, there's my setup. And then I'm going to take this mobilization hand and move that out laterally. And I can also create a slight medial mobilization or medial movement with this hand on the lateral side of the elbow. And there's my movement. So I'm first going to establish what is my grade 2 sustain. That way I know how much joint space there is. And I'm going to move this out laterally until I feel, hey, tissue resistance, and that's where it's going to be. Now, might they feel a little bit of local point tenderness on the medial side of the arm where my hand is? Possibly, because I'm having contact there. And if you want to soften that contact, you can also use a barrier between like a towel or so on. Cool? And then from there, I can figure out what grades I'm going to do. Now, we can also do this mobilization in several different positions. It doesn't have to be this neutral position, meaning the arm is going to be just down by the side. We can do a distraction with the arm in various degrees of flexion. So for example, I can have this up here and do the mobilization. It's still a distraction movement. It's still going out laterally. I can have the arm up here and do this mobilization like this. It's still going out laterally. I can have the arm in a hyperflex position. In this case, it is here. And I'm still going out laterally like this. I can have the arm in an abducted position. Several different degrees of abduction. I can have the arm abducted here, and it's still a lateral movement. Or I can have the arm abducted here. Slide my hand underneath, stabilize, and give this guy a little bit of a pull. I can have the arm abducted way over the head, and it's still going to be this lateral movement. So any type of lateral movement to the GH joint is going to be our distraction. We can also do this in a prone position. So where I can keep this in a very neutral position, and here's my distraction. I can bring this into an extended position, any degree of extension. Here's my distraction. I can bring this into any degree of abduction, and here's my distraction. And maybe you're really creative. Maybe you're table tie, right? So maybe I'm using my knee against the lateral border. Can I put my foot up there? Okay. Maybe I'm using my foot against the lateral border to stabilize it as I give the humerus a little bit of a pull, right? So again, my whole point of all this is, depending on what you do as a therapist, it doesn't have to be your hands or this or that. Maybe you're on the floor and it's your foot or it's your knee, or maybe you're table tie and it's your foot or your knee, or maybe it's your hand. In other words, hand placement means zip to me. What matters most is, are you moving the joints where you want it to go? In this one here, it's a distraction. And are you moving it with whatever grade you're looking to do? Cool?